Hey everyone, if you are new to the channel, welcome for the first time. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. So today we are in a 2018 BMW 230i brought to you by First International Auto Group in Merrimack, New Hampshire. So today is a bit of a scorcher. We're experiencing lots and lots of heat in New England at this time of year, which is kind of unusual for us, but regardless, on this beautiful weekend, we can get into this review. All right, so today we will be asking one simple, maybe two simple questions here. First being, is a BMW with 36,000 miles worth getting? Is this a value car? And the other thing, is this a baby M2? This car features a 4-cylinder 2.0 liter turbo, and it makes 248 horsepower and about 250 pound-feet of torque. So it's plenty quick, lightweight BMW, which you don't see in this modern day. I feel like everything they make is just bigger and bigger. So we can ask ourselves, with a couple performance parts, can this compete with an M2 of this generation? Or should we kind of save our money and look upwards? So this car at First International Auto Group is priced around $22,000, which for this amount of performance and this car being almost 40 grand new, I think it's a great deal, even just upon first impression. So being in what people consider in modern day a small coupe, a two-door car, I actually have plenty of room in this interior, and it's quite nice. We have these brown leather or leatherette seats. Wood paneling throughout the car kind of makes it give a more classy feel. And for me and my front passenger, we have plenty of legroom. So we haven't even really given it a go in sport mode yet, but as you can see, there's plenty of pickup in this car. You could pass even brand new cars on the highway pretty easily in this thing. So it's essentially, regarding legroom, it's almost like having an Elantra N-Line, but cutting the car in half and not really caring about your passengers in the back. Legroom back there is little to none. You could definitely fit 2 car seats back there if you needed to, or if you just need to squeeze your friends in for a quick ride, you can do that as well. So it has that practicality, but don't bank on having 4 people in this car on a regular basis, because I doubt it will be comfortable. But that's not really why we buy 2-door cars, do we? It's actually so we avoid driving people. So I'm kicking this car into sport. It has 4 modes. It has an eco mode, a comfort, a sport, and a sport plus. The reason why I don't go into sport plus is because I don't want to turn traction control off in a car I'm really not familiar with. As you can see, the car has plenty of power, and we'll kind of slow down on these windy roads, but it has plenty of pickup, and quite honestly, it's faster than my Elantra N-Line 0 to 60 for sure. So this BMW 230i XDrive is all-wheel drive with a rear bias, typically, with these XDrive systems. But you can honestly tell that you're getting power to all 4 wheels, and it hooks up. You know, it puts all that power down. There's no wheel hop. There's not much power loss that goes from, you know, drivetrain to wheels. Like, you really do feel like you have all the power that it states it does, even then some. As far as visibility goes, I have plenty. My rear is probably the most compromised, but I would compare it to just a little bit better than, say, a Camaro. But out my side windows and my front, I have plenty of view of anything around me. My A-pillars are actually quite small, so you don't really miss any visibility in the front of the car. And my driving position is great. So I really love the wheel of this 2 Series. However, it doesn't have any paddle shifters, which I'm kind of lacking. You know, it's great to be able to shift an automatic transmission from the paddle shifters instead of using the little knob down here, although you can use the gear selector to do so as well. So as I mentioned before, the interior is quite nice. It feels like a $50,000 car, even, you know, 6 years later. This is a 6-year-old car, although it only has 36,000 miles on it, you know, 6,000 a year. This interior almost feels brand new, and, you know, everything is holding up quite nice. There's no creaks, no rattles. So although I like the steering wheel, there are some blank buttons on it, which isn't great to see, but if you get a 230xi instead of the M240i, that's kind of what you're asking for. You don't get, I'm guessing these buttons would be for the adaptive cruise control. Exterior wise, I'd say this is probably the best 2 Series generation BMW's ever put out. You know, all the way up to the M2 and then down to this 230. Great all looking round car, you know. It honestly really does hold up even to modern designs. I know BMW has kind of been getting chunkier and chunkier with the designs and more aggressive as of recent, but honestly this design is not polarizing, but I would say it's classic. So this BMW is also equipped with heated seats, and the seats themselves are, I wouldn't say aggressively bolstered, but sport bolstered, where they hold you in, but not squeeze too tight. Honestly, they're probably the most comfortable seats I've sat in a long time. They're quite plush, and at the same time have these bolsterings on the side that, you know, hold me in place, but don't hurt my back at all, which is great. We won't go too far into it because we don't have a lot of time with this vehicle, but the iDrive system that BMW equips has gotten better over time. I know when they first launched it in the early 2010s, it kind of had a lot of issues and people didn't like it, but I've had no issues with it in any of the BMWs I've driven, although I'm not living with them on a daily basis, so that your mileage might vary then. But, you know, if you have Bluetooth or, you know, even Apple CarPlay in some of the later models, you can get by. So even just with 40% throttle, you get a lot of kick in this car, and quite honestly, you could have tons and tons of fun with it. So regarding my question earlier about, is this a budget M2? I would say with a couple modifications, maybe some stickier tires and lighter weight rims, you could really go far with performance in this vehicle. I will say, you know, BMW, you're gonna have some added maintenance costs compared to, say, like a Toyota or a Honda, but I think equal parts fun. And so this same vehicle is offered in a manual. We have the automatic here today, but I don't think you could go wrong with either. This automatic shifts quite quickly, and I don't think there's any fault with going with an automatic if it's your daily driver. But if you're gonna get a weekend one of these, I would spec this for I would opt for a convertible, and I would opt for the 6-speed manual. So the dual climate control works great in this vehicle. You know, you have a setting for your passenger and for yourself. In this 90-degree day, the car cooled down rather quickly getting into it when it was parked hot outside, obviously. So, you know, keep that in mind, that you're gonna have lots and lots of comfort between the heated seats, the comfort of the seats themselves, and some of these nice interior finishes in a car that at First International Auto Group is listed at just over $20,000. So steering overall, we didn't test this car at its limits or anything, but I will say that there's no play. It seems very direct for what it is. And even for a pre-owned car, I think this car steers great. The steering combined with the all-wheel drive system is very confidence inspiring, and I think for, you know, a younger driver or someone who has less experience, it would be really easy to put some performance parts in this car and really test it at its limits and be comfortable doing so. Can wrap up our review on this BMW 230i XDrive, you know, 2018 model by saying that overall I think it's a great used value if you're able to front the maintenance costs that you'll have with the BMW with any of them, right? I definitely think it's a great idea to get one of these, put a couple performance parts on it, you know, maybe get a stage 1 or stage 2 tune and really have some fun. With that being said, life is short. Buy sports cars, buy performance cars, and have some fun. Please like, please subscribe if you are new to the channel, as we're going to be posting weekly content. And thank you all for tuning in. Bye.